Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of FooTea Fantasy, where we discuss football and FPL over a cup of tea. I'm your host Shouvik, and I'm joined by my co-host Sourav. Before we start this episode, first of all, we'd like to apologize for not coming out with the Game Week 8 preview episode. We were actually not well, and due to health concerns, we were not able to produce any content across our socials and for the pod as well. So apologies for that, but we are back with the Gameweek 8 review, and we have some very exciting matches and exciting results to discuss. We'll just get started with it. Shora, welcome. And how was your week, and how are you doing?
Yeah, it's good to be back. Doing well, and this has been quite an exciting week. And I mean, in terms of FPL and games, it has been quite different, as I would say. How about
Yeah,
how did you feel this week going after the international break?
yeah, it definitely wasn't how we generally expect the PL matches to go, and not what we expected in terms of the performance from a lot of the teams. And we'll discuss about that as we go ahead. So a little underwhelming, maybe, but especially from the top teams, I thought it was quite underwhelming the way they performed. But overall, yeah, lots to discuss, and in terms of FPL also, I think we just somehow managed to get a green arrow and save the game week. I think this was a very difficult game week for a lot of the FPL managers. So how did your FPL weekend go?
My FPL weeks have been quite boring for the past 3 weeks. It has been slow green arrows of 10K, but I'm hanging on, just going above the average. But yeah, in overall terms, I would take it as a positive, but not very exciting.
Yeah, but green arrow is a green arrow, no matter how small, isn't it? Better than a red arrow. You always want
Yeah,
to see some green on your screen. Yeah. So, just quick, before we'll come to this the results a bit later, and let's just change the structure a bit. And since we are on FPL already, let's just discuss a few of the FPL results and how our team did. So I'll start with mine. I got 46 points, and the average for the week was 36. So uh, 10 points above the average. Although my game week was looking much better on us on the Saturday night with a Son 12 pointer, and I had I think 39 points on Saturday night itself. So I thought this game week is going to go good for me because I still had Foden, Haaland, Gabriel, and Raya against Bournemouth, and then Konate, whom I didn't expect much from, but I still thought quite a bit of I could get quite a bit of points from them, and I had Luis as well to play, but all of them kind of blanked. Foden was benched, and that started my Sunday, and I thought, okay, so this is a sign of things to come, and that is exactly what happened. I mean, uh, Luis blanked, Arsenal defense gave away two goals, and so I got one pointer from both the Arsenal defense. Foden did come on and give me an assist, but that was about it. The real star for me this week was Watkins and NDI from Everton. He came up with a goal and three bonus points and gave me a 9 pointer. So that was very refreshing to have a differential and who returned big. So
the
46
NDI was
points.
good in general.
Yeah, India was good. I saw India pick up a bonus point, I think last week or last to last week,
Yeah,
I can't remember properly, where he blanked, but he picked up a bonus point, one bonus point. And that kind of shows you that the player is involved and doing the right things
yeah,
in terms of FPL.
He's shooting, and that's why he's racking up those bonus.
Yeah, yeah. And we have BPS system this time around for dribbles and for winning fouls. So he comes in from the left wing and he's quite lively from that side. So he gets high on the BPS system. from that side as well. The uh, the highlight of the week for me felt the Son assist, which was later taken away. Uh, I think through all the controversy, that was the right thing to do. That didn't seem like the right decision, and although I was on the right side of it, you still don't want to, you know, get points like that. So I think that was the right decision. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was in terms of FPL assist, it wouldn't have been because they credited the own goal to Areola, so it would be taken away from Son. But yeah, I mean, I would take any points, I mean, be it controversial or not.
Winning matters by hook or
Yeah.
crook. Yeah, I had Mikolenko on the bench, first bench for me, a 7 pointer, but it's all an afterthought. I actually thought Ipswich might score at home against Everton because I knew Branthwaite after the conferences. I knew Branthwaite was not going to play, so I did not think that Ipswich will not score. I thought they will score one goal past Everton.
In
So,
fact, they
but
had
that
a
didn't happen.
penalty that was ruled out. So
Yeah, and Delap was in good form going into the game, so I thought, maybe that will be a factor. So, but good game we go. Nothing much to complain. A little underwhelming after Saturday, maybe, but overall happy with it. Why don't you take us through your game week?
I overall I had a lucky score. I mean, the reason being Salah returning with 12 points, something that I didn't expect. I mean, I obviously expected Salah to return something, but a penalty goal and an assist was a really uh, good. I mean, sight over the horrible week that I was having. I mean, the weird part was Johnson and Semenyo not returning. Johnson had a flurry of chances. He had shots. He was excellent in the game against against West Ham. Semenyo also had quite a good chance where he scuffed the shot. It was not even on target. My unlikely returners were Flecken and Dinya. So I have been raving about Luca Dinya every week that he's the troll and I'm going to throw him out. And he's the one that's consistently giving me points. So he comes up with an assist. Not only that, he was playing quite further up. So
Yeah.
it was good. I mean, he did get a yellow card. I mean, he has to do something. And
Dean,
also
being the troll that what we have been calling him, he is actually one of the better 4.5, 4.6-ish defender in the game right now because he's consistently starting. The major concern with Dean was
Madsen.
if
Yeah.
Martson would, yes, take his place. But Emery has clearly shown that Dean is the first choice, and Martson at this point is nowhere near the starting 11, neither in the Champions League nor in Premier League. And Dean is on set pieces. I mean, he's playing further advanced, more than what Matty Cash is doing from the other side. And he's on set pieces. He's taking few of the free kicks and corners, and yeah, he's consistently returning with some kind of an assist. So I don't see the downside with Luka Dean right now.
Yeah, the thing is, yeah, he's also very attacking. Villa had shifted. I mean, we'll discuss it more. Villa had shifted their attacking form from the right hand side to the left hand side this season quite a bit because
Yeah,
they're missing Bailey on the right. They don't have Diaby as well. So and their right wingers like Philogene are coming on and off. So that's yeah, I think that favors Dean quite a lot. And
I
yeah,
agree.
and due to the lack of options, I think yeah, he is currently the best 4.5 apart from Ait Nuri or Semenyo. Oh, sorry, Semedo.
Yeah, but Aitnuri and Semedo don't come with any prospect of clean sheets, and Aston Villa is clearly the better team than Wolves. So in terms of
In
a
terms of
better
defense,
team,
yeah,
yes, in terms of defense, in terms of playing for a better team, and also having better players up top to provide the assist to. I mean, Luka Dean is sending in balls for Duran, Rogers, and Ollie Watkins compared to Ait Nouri and Semedo making it for Cunha and Strand Larsen, although they're good players, but there's obviously a difference in quality. So I think Luka Dean is right up there. I think he's going under the radar because everybody has tagged him with that troll. Luka Dean is being massively overlooked at this point. Also,
Yeah,
Salah, uh, I thought, I think we discussed it in the last pod, and you yourself were expecting Salah to do well against the top six teams because he's a big match player, and
he
obviously he
did get
gets
a lot
those
of time.
spaces.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah. So that came absolutely true in this match, and I am expecting the same going forward in all the red fixtures that FPL ticker shows us. I think those are all good fixtures for Salah. And Johnson
especially.
missed a big chance in the first half. Did you see that? He
Yeah,
missed the
it
header.
was
I
a
think it hit his shoulder or something.
yeah. It bounced off his shoulder. Yeah, it could have been. I mean, just a small flick of the head would have put
Yeah,
that ball in the net.
it was an open goal almost. So 42 points and 220k. You must be aiming somewhere around 100k in next few weeks. And I hope we're there by the time Christmas comes around. Is
Yeah,
that a realistic target?
yeah. So going by how teams are performing in terms, I mean, real life uh, teams are performing, I think I have covered a lot of the bases that are there. I mean, in terms of Spurs attack, let's say Liverpool attack, the teams that are going through a good fixture run or even through good form. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm expecting a bit of an upshift in the rank in
yeah.
the next 3-4 weeks at least.
Yeah, let's. I think the next swing that we'll see is in game week 12. So I think the team that is there now should keep propelling you up till at least game week 11 and 12, when again the fixtures swing, and maybe that will require some kind of tinkering with the team again.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the games and the results that we saw over the weekend. Shourav, what do you think from the game week? What absolutely stood out to you from this?
Oh, I mean, the
I'm
clear
asking
and
you because you're
obvious.
an Arsenal fan, so I
Yeah,
thought you should take the
i-
stage there here.
yeah, the clear and obvious was the Arsenal loss. I
That
mean,
was a big hint.
yeah, it did come as an unexpected result. A draw would have been fine, but even the loss wasn't kind of a shock after seeing how they played. The team that they put in, the the formation that they were playing in, the players that were involved, all pointed to a Bournemouth win. I mean,
Win, yeah.
it wasn't fun watching Arsenal this weekend.
Yeah, so let's get into it because we'll get into that mood of discussing all the games in detail. So let's just start with it. Although I'll just highlight a few important results over the weekend. Spurs absolutely thrashed West Ham 4-1. And they, I think, considered three goals in a space of 8 minutes in the second half. We'll discuss that and how the formation change from Ange to work perfectly. Liverpool Chelsea was the biggest match I think of the weekend, and we saw I think a very competitive and a very uh, good quality football match at Anfield. 2-1 to Liverpool, but I think a lot of positives to take for Chelsea as well. Man City is the opposite of that, I would say. Despite their win, I think there are reasons to be concerned there. 1-2 win against Wolves. Forest last night got their clean sheet, and Chris Wood again on the score sheet. So 1-0 to Forest. And Man United finally showed up, and at home they beat Brentford 2-1, who were surprisingly quite poor as well. And a big result for Leicester. A shout out to them as well. We kind of don't talk about the bottom of the table teams much, but this was a very much needed result for them, and important 3 points for Leicester. So let's get into it, and we'll start with the biggest match of the weekend: Liverpool versus Chelsea. So I'll give my views on Chelsea uh, a little later, but I want to know what you, as probably a neutral who watched the game, what did you make of the performance from Liverpool and Chelsea both?
First of all, I didn't expect Chelsea to play that well. I mean, they were actually attacking quite a lot. They had a couple of good chances. It was, I think, Trent was defending quite well, which was very unexpected of him uh, to do that work on the right hand side, and also Salah falling back in contributed a lot to that defense. Um,
And
Jackson and yeah,
just before you move on, and because you touched on Trent and Salah tracking back, an interesting stat that I came through when I was just preparing for this pod and going through the notes that I made. Trent had an XG of 0.00 in this match. No wonder he defended well because he just didn't go forward against Chelsea. Or, I don't know whether that is the
and
way
it
Slot set up
yeah,
or whether
it was a tactical
Sancho
move.
kept him there.
No, it was a tactical move because Slot was much more pragmatic in terms of his backline. So he didn't want Trent invert at all. You could see Mac Allister didn't play, so you could see that four at the back being consistent with their line and how they were defending. Robertson wasn't pushing up, and he was going in for those challenges. Uh, Konate and Van Dijk were maintaining their line, and Trent was continuously uh, man marking and pressing that left wing player, Chelsea player, or the combination, and keeping them to the corner flag. And that was he was doing it very well. I mean, we didn't expect Trent to defend like that. Salah, I mean, something that we discussed last time as well. Salah had those options of cutting in his left foot and shooting. Colwell did a fairly decent job at the very beginning of holding Salah because it the what I felt was the combination of uh, Gusto, Tossin, and Colwell is the problem that
Yeah.
yeah
No, I think
that
I think what happened was that because Reece James was not fit enough to be inverting from the other wing,
yeah
they had Gusto inverting from the left,
left
and that left Colville exposed to Salah and as well as Jota making those runs, and Tosin, well, Tosin being Tosin, he couldn't really deal with it that well. I mean, they shouldn't have inverted Gusto from where Salah is. I think they could have not played Reece James maybe and played Gusto in his original position and had him invert from there and started with Renato Viga because Renato Viga when he came on
exactly
he was
yeah.
brilliant. He kept Salah, he kept that side of Liverpool absolutely quiet once Renato, he was such a big presence on the field. They could have started with Renato Viga, and I think that is where a little bit of I'll talk about it later, the
I
tactics
think
which I
no,
thought Chelsea
I think no one
got wrong.
expected both Gusto and Reece James to start. I mean, it was very obvious that they needed someone on the Salah side because Jota or Diaz or Gakpo isn't they're not going to cut in and shoot as much as Salah would. I mean, this is very much expected. So yeah, inverting Gusto from that side was a little bit of let's say uh, gamble that Maresca took. Yeah, turned out quite well for Salah.
Yeah, and I think when you see Gakpo starting, I think Gakpo, even with if Diaz was starting on the left, you could argue that Diaz tends to cut in or get onto his left foot and shoot from either foot. But Gakpo doesn't do that so often. Yeah, inverting Gusto from Salah's side was probably an oversight. And I think another mistake right at the beginning was to play uh, in such a big game, play Reece James and Lavia, knowing that you can only play them for under an hour, and then have to make such big substitutions. uh, in the middle of the game, because these are the games where you need rhythm and consistency, and players who are playing well need to be there for 90 minutes. So that also I think was a mistake. I mean,
Yeah,
I
you do
don't.
not disturb that pivot. I mean, you could have kept Enzo start playing the whole game, or even someone uh, in the right wing back playing the whole game and not change. Yeah, that
Yeah,
that was
yeah, because you change the pivot and the defense. So you're actually moving around a very pivotal part of that team, almost the core of the team. So that felt not so ideal. But Maresca has done a good job, so can't be too critical. But I think some things that he can probably avoid in the future, especially in big games. Having said that, I think Lavia was so brilliant on the ball. I think he felt like the best player on the pitch for the first 30 minutes when I was watching him. Even after that, but the game slightly changed once Salah scored the goal. But Lavia was so smooth on the ball. He had such good spatial awareness. Absolutely love the guy. If he can stay fit, Chelsea have a gem on their hands. I
yeah.
absolutely love Lavia.
In fact, if I remember correctly, Lavia started the first game versus City, right? And then he got injured.
Yeah.
And that
Yes.
was the game he showed. I mean, he did have a lot of control in that midfield. He likes to
Mhm.
carry the ball as well. So that's good for Chelsea in that way. Because they
Yeah.
don't have a strong presence in that particular midfield. Enzo isn't an amazing ball carrier. So they need someone alongside him who could play that Odegaard role.
Yeah. Yeah, true that. And Lavia has not only good control and good defensive abilities, he can play some very good passes, he has good vision. I hope we can see that more as the season goes ahead and he can stay fit. And Lavia would be one player to watch. He's a really exciting player. And while we are on the Chelsea defense, I think we can touch upon Robert Sanchez a little, because the more you watch him play, the more you kind of wonder what he's doing for being the number one for a team like Chelsea. Uh, every time he receives the ball, you feel like he's holding it for too long, or he's going to play a pass uh, right down the middle and give the ball away, which he does so often. And just for me as a Chelsea fan, he just doesn't feel like. Uh, Sanchez is a quality to become the number one goalkeeper. I mean, watching Chelsea from Peter Cech's era and to see Robert Sanchez in the goal, I thought Petrovic last season was much better than Sanchez. And this recent trend of having ball playing goalkeepers does not just sit right with me. I don't know. I just like goalkeepers who get when the ball comes to them because they're the last line of defense, they just clear it. That is what I prefer, probably old school, but that's how I like it.
And even, I mean, even if you consider the new style of ball playing goalkeeper, Sanchez would be the last on my list. Uh, Graham Potter didn't prefer Sanchez. He played Steele over him in his last season because Sanchez was absolutely horrible on the ball. The Steele,
Yeah,
in fact, had a couple, I think, one assist and two to three near assist in that season. So Sanchez is not. I mean, he has T-Rex arms. He's quite. Uh, he doesn't have quite a good reach, and also he's horrible on the ball. So yeah, how is he number one is the main question.
and not only his ball playing ability. If you saw the second goal, that that should never have been a goal. I mean, Curtis Jones's first touch actually took the ball quite away from him. And
Yeah,
if Sanchez had attacked it, at the most, it could have been a block, or Sanchez could actually have gathered it if he was aggressive enough. If you
yeah.
if you see
It was a
Kelleher
very
on the other box,
yeah.
he had a presence, and I don't remember from the match any ball that could pass Kelleher like that, or could come anywhere near Kelleher and Kelleher didn't collect it. But with Sanchez, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I mean, not taking away the amazing pass Salah played, but Sanchez had a enough chance to attack that ball. Curtis Jones controlled it, and he had that, I mean, second thought of placing it in the post. So yeah,
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 just poor from Sanchez. Chelsea need to find a solution. After the game, you heard a lot of post and backing from the club that Sanchez are number one, but I really don't don't feel that there's even that scope of improvement in Robert Sanchez to be performing at this level consistently. So that's a issue. Let's just touch upon on the big hitters a bit. We have talked about for the past about 20 minutes on this game, and the fact that we have not even mentioned Cole Palmer, I think, just sums up how well uh, Gravenberg and Curtis Jones isolated Cole Palmer from this game. I think he was absolutely not involved. The more I saw the game, the more I kept feeling what is Caicedo doing in Palmer's position, because Caicedo was playing on the middle of the park more often than Palmer was. Palmer had to drift off into unknown territories just to get a feel of the ball, and Chelsea were not able to involve him, not able to feed him. And yeah, brilliant from Liverpool, I would say, more than anything else.
yeah. But this is something that I've noticed with Palmer quite a lot, that he's drifting right. So I mean, there is no doubt that he can come in, create the chance, or shoot, or even be in the correct position. But his position should be in and uh, around that, let's say, 9.5 position where he could play off Jackson. But he's drifting quite a lot to the right, and introducing uh, wide players like Neto would now help Palmer quite a lot, because what I feel with Madueke is that he doesn't allow Palmer a lot of space inside, because Madueke is quite wasteful, takes a lot of shots. This forces Palmer to go down to the right and then create some chances.
Yeah, yeah. But Neto, talking of Neto, I mean, he came on at halftime instead of Sancho and absolutely lit up the game. I think in one half he showed that probably he was the best player of the game. I mean, I was really impressed. I don't know if you had the same feeling or not,
Yeah,
but
Neto was really. I mean, in fact, what I felt was Neto had more energy than the entire Chelsea team. I mean, the way he was crossing, uh, uh, keeping Jackson on the field instead of Nkunku would have been better. I mean, Jackson has a better reach than Nkunku. He could have scored with a header or a touch of the ball.
no, Jackson was there. I think Nkunku came on for Madueke and Nkunku moved to the left. Neto was shifted to the right, and Jackson stayed on at the center for for the entire 90 minutes. But I think
He
that
didn't play quite forward. I mean, that's what I
yeah,
meant. That
yeah. I think moving Neto, who was playing so well on the left, switching him to right, and then to put Nkunku on the left absolutely killed the flow of Chelsea. I think they were constantly pushing through Neto from the left hand side, but that switch, I think that definitely I can say was a wrong move from Maresca, and I think if somebody asks him specifically, I think he'll need to agree to this because Neto was the only one who's looking like creating something from that left hand side. So in any case, I think that's all. Caicedo also, I think, had a decent enough game. But apart from that, I don't think much. One of the notable things that did happen, especially in terms of FPL, was Diogo Jota's injury. But I think we'll hear from Arne Slot midweek also because they have Champions League matches to play. So we'll hear from Arne Slot more about it. Although it looked like an impact injury because he did play on for about a good 10 minutes after that incident happened. Oh, and talking about that incident itself, since you're an Arsenal
the
fan
red
and
card.
Saliba had a red card, what did you think make of the toss-in tackle?
I mean, if you look at it from is- as an isolated event, it's not a red card, because uh, he had it wasn't a clear uh, run through on goal. Something like we talked about Evan Hansen, that it Jota couldn't have controlled the ball and then had a run through, because Colville was also there on the right side covering him, and Sanchez would have enough time to cover for it. So, in an isolated event, it's not a red card. But if you compare it with the Saliba situation, it's an exact replica. I mean, you see the positions on the pitch. If you give a red card to Saliba, it should have been a red card to Tosin. You just need to maintain that consistency. And
Yeah, so
it went through a review as well. It's not
yeah,
that
it,
it
it did.
wasn't reviewed. Yeah, so
It did.
that's where all the complaints start. But yeah, it's what it is.
Yeah, so since we have touched on Arsenal and the red card, let's just get into it and address the elephant in the room. The biggest upset of the weekend, I think, Bournemouth versus Chelsea. Losing 2-0. This, before we talk about the performance in the game, I think as a result, this really hurts Arsenal's title charge, because now we have fallen quite a way behind Liverpool and City. So it's anyways a very massive challenge to dethrone City from the Premier League crown, and with Liverpool doing as well as they are. But these are the kind of results that you cannot afford. And already in 8 game weeks, I think Arsenal, in all the three matches that they have had a red card, they haven't been able to produce 3 points. So that's a lot of points drop already.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the, I think, the bigger picture of it. But coming to the game, we'll come to the red card. But before the red card, as well as we just slightly touched upon when we were discussing the results, Arsenal's performance in general was extremely poor. And okay, maybe saying extremely poor is an exaggeration. But why I say that is because when you as a champion, or as a champion contender, championship contender, uh, why would you travel to Bournemouth and play so many defensive midfielders in your squad? The lineup is something that I did not really agree with. I don't. I'll love to have your views as an Arsenal fan as well, but to have Mikel Merino, Partey, Rice, everybody in there, Martinelli on the bench. You don't have Saka, you don't have Odegaard. There was no creativity in the midfield, and that is the cause of all this that we're going to talk about now. So, what were your thoughts on the lineup to start with?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I complained was the lineup. I mean, it didn't have so it not just lacked creativity, it didn't have that attacking impetus. So Arsenal has been quite poor attack in terms of attacking sense throughout the season. It's not just this result that dents the title charge, but it's how they are playing. So if you look at the initial games of versus Wolves, the first two games versus Wolves and Aston Villa, they haven't been, I mean, tearing up the field. So it has been shots, incredible outside of the box worldies from Saka or Partey or towering headers from Gabriel. So they have. So what Arsenal is trying to do is control the game at the first and then maybe nick in a goal or two to win the game. They haven't been doing this in the past season. So their strategy was to attack from the get go, get in a goal or two, and then hold the fort. What this meant was the opponents were trying to attack, and then they were, and Arsenal was, in fact, capitalizing on those mistakes in case if anyone made any. So now the entire shift or the mentality has been shifted. The defending from the first, like you said, they have been playing so many. You don't need Party and Marino, right? Rice is anyways a good CDM. So
Yeah,
you're having three CMs or CDMs, and then you're trying to create or go to a team like Bournemouth. So Bournemouth, Fulham are teams that they cause other team problems. I mean, however good the opponent is, you cannot go to Bournemouth and then have this defensive mindset, and that's what has started the issue. And even for the next game against Liverpool, I mean, be it at home, I don't see them keeping a clean sheet or even winning it. It could.
Three defensive midfielders along with an excellent attacker like Raheem Sterling on your right wing. Are
Oh
you
God.
looking
Oh yeah,
forward
yeah,
and are you excited to make that signing permanent, Shourav, for
yeah.
your club?
I mean, Jesus was
Yeah,
enough
he would
in
probably he
terms.
would have been a better starter probably for this
Yeah,
match.
but
Yeah.
Martinelli should start. I mean, you don't have Odegaard, you don't have Saka. Why is Martinelli benched in the first place? That's the main concern.
There was a news of a little bit of injury concern. So maybe that injury had something to do with him not starting. But yeah, even when Martinelli came on, he had a very good chance. If you remember in the second half, when the score was still 0-0. So and he could have, if that chance was put away by Martinelli, I think Arsenal would have been able to shut shop a little better. And yeah, very very. Surprising, and we keep talking about that the fact that they played so many defensive players, yet they did end up conceding two goals, which I
Makes the
found even
frustrate
more
even more.
surprising. Yes, even after the red card, you have all your defensive players, and with Arsenal and their defense, as much as we talk about it, you would expect them to hold Bournemouth, and the way the goals were considered as well. From a set piece, which Arsenal are themselves so good at, and you never expect, a set piece routine to beat Arsenal, and it was exactly that, a set piece routine, which Arsenal didn't expect, and that got Bournemouth their first goal, and the second goal, the penalty was actually the result of a very very poor back pass from Kivior. The red card was also a result of a very poor back pass from Trossard. So Arsenal
Yeah,
didn't turn up, I would say.
yeah, and the main downfall is the fact that they can't play against the press. So they are missing Odegaard horribly. He could play against the press, turn anything into an attack. I mean, if you remember the Brighton game where we went a man down, but even then, Saka and Havertz were attacking like crazy only because
Yes,
they had someone like Odegaard managing that midfield. So it's
yes.
not the case now.
Com and I completely agree with you because Rice losing Rice in that game was actually the biggest loss of all the three red cards, in my opinion. But because Odegaard was on the pitch, it didn't really affect Arsenal that much. Arsenal could have won that game. But with this game, you could never say that Arsenal could have, Arsenal had any chance of winning this game. So Odegaard is a huge factor, and I don't think, as much as it says a lot of good things about the player, I think it also says, I mean, shows a big flaw in the team as well, that losing one player can affect you so much. And with such a long season and so many matches to play, so many competitions to play with, the squad depth, especially in Odegaard's position, is really, really thin. And even in Saka's position, I would say, because they tried to cover it with Sterling, but well, you
Yeah,
can
Sterling
always
is
pay.
not the same
You can pay us
Saka.
25 million and take him for good. So yeah, yeah. Uh, Before we move ahead, did you think Saliba could have avoid that red card? If that's the million-dollar question.
uh, I think it was a moment of lapse from it would have been a moment of lapse from any defender, but yeah, uh, I think he needed to make that tackle. So
But
he
he
sees
was he was at the halfway line. I think if you see how much Evan Nilsson had to do, I mean, you're not dealing
you
with
don't think,
a
but you
Mbappe
don't
or a
think of it
Haaland
as
here.
No, you don't think of it as a defender. You see a clean pair of heels, you have the urge to pull the shirt, or you have the urge to make that sliding tackle. I mean, you don't think of it. Anyone could make a run, and you think that you have made that mistake. You don't think
But
about other players
sh
covering it.
shouldn't that be the difference between any
Yeah, a world
defender
class defender
and a
and
world-class defender,
yeah,
which
absolutely.
everybody claims Saliba to be, and more so Arsenal fans? I think Rice came out and called it. He said we need to stop making these foolish mistakes, and I think
It was.
it was because Ivan Nilsson, if you look at that play, Ivan Nilsson probably would have held that ball and waited for support because there was Ben White as well. He would have cut in. And you have one of the better goalkeepers in David Raya. You have to place some trust in your goalkeeper as well. You have to place some trust on your pace, and you know, and also you have to keep in mind whom you are playing against. That presence of mind, I think, at this
Yeah,
level for a
if
world-class
it
defender.
correct. If it was Mbappe or Vinicius or even Haaland, I mean that tackle would have made sense. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's what I think. I mean, that's my personal view. That for Evanilson, with all due respect to him, he has played for Brazil, but you don't make that tackle for Evanilson because he's new to the Premier League. He has nerves to score against Arsenal as well. He's not a seasoned Premier League striker. So lapse, I think that cost a lot to Arsenal. So, yeah, I think that was a disappointing game. We can nothing much more to talk about on Arsenal. And similar was the game week, although with a better result, but I think a similarly disappointing game week for Man City. Again, I can't make sense of Pep's team selection to start with. Again, similar issue. I don't know why you would not play when you don't have KDB. Last season we saw when there was no KDB, you constantly had Foden and Julian Alvarez in the lineup.
yeah.
But again, we saw uh, it was a repeat of what happened at Newcastle. I thought against Newcastle again, you didn't have Foden, you didn't have KDB, and Gundogan is having his off days. I think because he's not playing as well as we saw the Gundogan when he was at City last time around. So
He's
he's
getting old.
having some off. I don't know whether it's old or not, but yeah, and it's not being fair to ask him also to suddenly come this season and start producing game at levels of KDB and
Fill in
Foden who
those
was
Rodri and KDB gaps. I mean,
yes, yes.
that's two major players missing.
Yeah, because when you talk about who's going to cover, oh, Rodri is missing, who's going to cover for Rodri? You say, oh, we have Gundogan, and he'll probably drop a little bit deep, and he'll with Kovacic, he'll fill that void. And then you ask, oh, there's no KDB, no Foden, so who's going to make the play for us? And then you again say, oh, that's Gundogan. So I think that's just too much to do for Ike Gundogan, and Foden should be in that lineup. Uh, I don't know what Pep is thinking. He's a great manager, but I think there's something going on with Foden and Pep which not many people are talking about. The media doesn't is not giving much attention to. But I don't know how Premier League Player of the Year does not start for 8 game weeks in the following season in his own team where he won that Premier League Player of the Season. Just doesn't make sense to me. What do you
And
think?
yeah, absolutely. And not just with Foden, it's about like you said, Gundogan. You don't need players like Gundogan and Bernardo against teams like Newcastle and Wolves. You need runners. You need players who can quickly convert the ball, take a shot, or even put in a cross. So Doku isn't a crosser. Doku is a horrible crosser. I mean, he does dribble. He is good for carrying the ball. He's good for pulling defenders, but he's a horrible crosser. You you have only Savio in the team who can hold up that width. You're not playing Grealish. You're not playing Foden. I'm not sure why both Gundogan and Bernardo is starting along with Kovacic and Rico Lewis. So if
Yeah,
you, yeah,
doesn't make
Kovacic and
sense
Rico
to
exactly against a team like Wolves because Wolves will leave spaces and you need players like Grealish and Foden to exploit those spaces. I mean, he can say that Pep has ruined Grealish and whatnot, but he's still that player who can hold up that width on the left and create a good enough cross for Haaland. Haaland is whatever you say is a 6.5 feet giant who will score headers, and he does score a lot of headers. You have to feed the ball into the box.
He's a player who thrives when he gets the ball in the box. He can't run with the ball. He doesn't have that playmaking ability. He's not a playing striker like a Firmino or what we saw, or Dominic Solanke that we see now. But uh, and for Haaland had zero shots in this game, and that itself tells you what we're all crying out about lack of creativity. How can you have an Erling Haaland in your team and not feed him enough balls to have at least one shot throughout the 90 minutes plus additional time? That itself, I think, shows that they're missing a trick somewhere. That's a problem. Although you touched upon Guardiola, also I'll just hype up his finish and goal. That was a brilliant finish. What we call his weaker foot, that was an
That wasn't
absolutely
a weaker
banger.
foot.
Yeah,
that that was an absolute worldie from. I mean, in terms of all the outside of the box finishes go. So
yes. And he had 86 passes. Again, when I was preparing for this pod, went through this stat and I was like, wow, 86 passes in the final third for Guardiola. And all of us in FPL are running behind Rico Lewis. And Guardiola is doing all the good things. So that's a lot, 86. I think it's one of the most ever, it's somewhere I was reading. So probably if you're listening to us, you can fact check that. But uh, in any case, if you watch the game, you can see Guardiola was very advanced, and that finish. I think this is twice now that Guardiola has saved Man City with a goal against Newcastle as well, and against this
it,
game. We keep drawing parallels to the game because it felt like exactly the game that happened at Newcastle. To me, it felt like that.
it wasn't a it. So Pep wasn't playing as per the opponent. He was playing kind of like what he thought would be a decent team, not even the best team out there. He was just trying to cover his bases, the missing Rodri and the KDB pieces.
Yeah,
And God knows what's happening with Foden. I mean, he
there's something
looked
going on there. I think everybody is just it's an oversight, but I can't. We have been football fans for long enough. I mean, if a player plays well for 5 games in a row, he gets the next 5 or 10 games um, as a guarantee starts. And for the Premier League Player of the Year to not start 8 game weeks in a row, I can understand the first couple of weeks. He was ill. He came back from the international break
Euro
late.
and all. Yeah,
Euro, this, that, plethora of excuses. But Game week 8, after he has played, he started for England. He's gone on to the international duty as well. Why not play Foden now? If not now, when? And they almost lost this match. Sorry, drew this match, dropped points by not playing Foden. And it was at the end not only Foden's corner, but it was the Foden's long ball. If you watch the
yeah.
game, in the end, it was the long ball to Haaland. That was a brilliant pass from his own half to Haaland, who passed it to Matthias Nunes, whose shot deflected, and they got a corner. Without that ball, it's a 1-1, and it was almost the last play of the game. So City fans probably would be able to maybe shed some light on what's happening there. But as far as I know, there is no explanation to why Foden is not playing. With Haaland, just before we move ahead, a slight touch on the FPL. What do you think? Uh, what are your thoughts with Haaland, especially with Southampton coming up next?
So it's now if they continue to play the same control game against Southampton, Haaland wouldn't have a chance. I mean, he may nick in a goal, but it won't be that hat trick potential. The only respite would be KDB returning. That
I,
which is unlikely in this case. I don't think he would be returning this
I
soon,
think
but
he's back on grass, but I don't think he
yeah,
starts game week 9.
he doesn't start. But if Pep is not, Pep decides not to play Doku and decides to play Grealish instead, and I think Bernardo and Gundogan will still play with maybe Savio interchanging with Foden after 60 minutes. So could work in Haaland's favor, but it's not like Haaland would be the. Haaland could have a huge game against Southampton. If they continue to play like this,
Yeah,
it would
that
be weird players like Bernardo or Kovacic taking a long shot or deflecting. A shot deflected that would give us those goals.
yeah, but it might change if Foden starts. So let's see what happens. I think the Champions League lineup would also give us some hints about what might happen at the weekend. Let's move on. And one of the entertaining games of the weekend, Spurs versus West Ham. Uh, since this was an early kickoff, I saw this entire game live, and uh, I think the first half, West Ham were in the game. They did give a good fight to to Spurs, and didn't look like capitulating to 4-1. I think the way they did, but
They fell apart
1-1,
like they did
yeah.
against other teams.
Now, how much of that was attributable to Ange's halftime change? Madison came off at halftime, and they moved to the traditional double pivot with Papamatasar coming in, and Kulusevski got that 10 role, free flowing 10 role. So that was quite surprising that Madison was actually taken off at halftime and in a tactical decision. But yeah, good play from Spurs in the second half. Uh, Son after came back after an injury. How did you see his performance?
So this played exactly into the way we were talking about how Ange would set up the system with Solanke dropping deep and setting up Johnson and uh, the left winger. Luckily, it was Son this time instead of Warner. When Warner came on and he was horrible, but Son had an amazing performance. He did goal that he scored was amazing. That's something that you'd expect Son to do. You would expect him to have those one-on-ones and take a shot. He's a
Yeah,
good finisher with either of his foot.
and do the step
He could
over
have one more
before he
hit
takes the
mark.
shot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, to the step over.
the step
It
over.
was clean.
Yeah, I
It was
thought you
really
would
clean.
like the moment I saw that, like, yeah, Sourav would appreciate this step overs and then a shot. Yeah, and he hit the post also, so he had another
Yeah,
great chance.
he hit the post. So, and not only Son, uh, Johnson also benefited from that Solanke deep uh, playmaker role. So there was a late chance in the second half where it was a kind of a low intensity shot from Johnson that Areola saved and Solanke could have tapped that in. But yeah, that's how Ange is now playing his system. He's not playing up that Richarlison number 9 role.
Yeah, and that I think reduces, in terms of FPL, reduces Solanke's appeal a lot because what people expected Solanke to be was to be playing in that Richarlison role, and the finisher that Solanke is, or the upgrade as a player that Solanke is over Richarlison, that would have been gold in terms of FPL. But the fact that I read this somewhere on Twitter, and I think somebody from the content creator space did an analysis, and it was I thought was brilliant the way they compared this trio of Brennan Johnson, Solanke, and Son to be functioning as the same, not in terms of ability, but in terms of the role that they're playing, they compared it to the Mane,
Liverpool.
Salah, and Firmino
Uh,
roles. And to say the moment I read that and what Bobby Firmino used to do for Liverpool and what Solanke is doing, and it just fits perfectly. And I thought that was a brilliant piece of analysis that I would have given a shout out if I remembered the name, but I randomly read it and it just clicked with me. Like brilliant analysis. And so Shourab, you have been playing FPL much a little longer than what I have been. So uh, I don't think Firmino was ever an FPL option because of the way he played, was he?
uh, in fact, Firmino, I brought in Firmino quite a lot of times, especially during the end of the season, where he tend to score and assist a lot of goals. So Firmino, so the difference between Mane and Firmino, especially in terms of FPL, was the price. Mane was priced around 12, 11.5 ish, and Firmino was always used to be around that 8 million, 8 to 9 million price point. And Firmino would pop in with an assist and a goal and a bonus always. So if Solanke, but so, I mean, I could see how they're playing being attributed to the Liverpool trio, but Solanke isn't Firmino. The Firmino would take a shot even from outside the box. He could create a goal out of anything, but Solanke doesn't do that. He doesn't have those driving runs inside the box, and he's not nimble with his feet.
Yeah.
That's the difference that I find with Firmino.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the analysis was also more on the roles than the ability. Obviously Firmino, in terms of ability, and Mane also was much greater and they dominated the Premier League. But the roles I think is quite similar. That's definitely true. Uh, let's talk about the game a
And
little bit.
Spurs will
Yeah,
Yeah, and Spurs will continue to do this. I mean, they won't change the system. It clicks, and if Son is fit, they will continue to do this.
definitely. And Solanke is such a pivotal part to the way they're playing and making winning the ball back and making that from the midfield because he's dropping all the way down to the midfield area. If you saw the game a couple of times, you would find if you were searching for Solanke on the screen, you would see him near about the CDM areas, right back to recover the ball, and it's the wingers who are staying up front and waiting for that pass and balls and to make the runs. Yeah, and I remember very clearly when Son was taken off and it was towards the end of the game. Uh, Johnson was the only one standing at the opposition box and kind of waving his hand like pass the ball and to shoot or score or be involved. So and Solanke was back there in the midfield trying to get the ball and get involved in the play. So that shows how they're setting up and where the value lies in terms of FPL as well. And talking about the game, I think again, first half I think was a much more evenly contested game. Although Spurs could have still taken the lead, we talked about that Brendan Johnson chance when we were discussing the results, and that was a great opportunity for Brendan Johnson. But Kulusevski did score. That was also a very good finish. And come second half. West Ham defense. They are just probably not consistent enough to keep performing for that 90 minutes. And Todibo and everybody else, what we thought at the start of this season to be, uh, it's not what was
They're
expected.
not. Yeah, they're just crumbling apart. I mean, Kilman is not that Kilman Todibo partnership is not working. I mean, Kilman is not doing wonders in defense either. So it's not just the partnership; it's the individual abilities or decision making that's causing the problem. And with that decision making, they're playing a very high line as well. I mean,
Yeah,
you'd expect some sort of a let's say learnings from what they have been facing Lopetegui to at least implement some of it, but no, they're just sticking to the system. I think it's maybe a game week or two till he gets sacked.
yeah, because with the same personnel, at least Moyes played a D block, so they didn't have to do as much as they are now being asked to do, and the quality just isn't there. And
And the
in the first half, they were actually defending very deep because Spurs were
Hmm.
so persistent in their attack. Uh, but they were also able to counter a bit because again, Madison and Kulusevski, so there were spaces behind them. But as soon as the formation changed, West Ham had no answer. They just didn't do anything.
yeah, West Ham is trying, but I feel like they're trying too hard to attack. So they have good runners of the ball like in Kudus and Bowen. They could just use that and play the deep block like they used to.
Yeah,
So what they're trying to do is build up from behind. Build up from the back. And Areola, Kilman, Todibo, Suchek, all that combo is not working. The spine is not good for building up from the back.
I completely agree. Kudus had a good game, I think, up till where he got an absolutely unnecessary red card. That was not a professional conduct from him. He kind of punched
Going and
twice.
slapping everyone.
Yes, I mean, I think he probably hit three players before he was actually sent off. So, uh, com unprofessional from Kudus. I mean, he didn't need to do that. And but before that, in terms of his performance, I think first half he missed the chance similar to the one he scored just minutes after. And
Yeah,
Bowen was
Kudus is.
absolutely robbed of an assist. Absolutely robbed of an assist. No assist given to Bowen in FPL, and I think that is the most unfair, one of the most unfair decisions I've ever seen.
They say the direction was deflected, but even then, the assist, the pass or the direct or the intent was
Intent.
there. It
The rule
was,
says the
yeah.
intent should be that the intent was the same. It was to find Kudus. So yeah, uh,
Kudus is a player. That got away from us. So I think at a point Arsenal was heavily linked with him
yeah,
when he was performing well in Ajax. So yeah, he could have been an amazing player. Could have been Saka's replacement, but now he's in West Ham. He's performing well. Uh, he's a good pick in FPL as well. But West Ham in general is not a team that I would back this season.
yeah. At least till they either change the system or the manager, because this is now the same kind of pattern that we have seen repeating over a period of 8 game weeks back to back. So let's move on from West Ham and Spurs, and let's go to Man United because this is a refreshing uh, change and a refreshing game week for a lot of the Man United fans as well. And you would love to see Man United actually play and perform. It makes the Premier League more interesting, and I think the performance was there. There are times when you win and the performance is not there, but I think Man United absolutely deserved this game and to win this game. And Brentford were really poor, and they got their goal in a very controversial manner as well. Delete was off the pitch, so although there was nothing that Brentford could have done about it, but yeah. And again, a Pinnock goal. We mentioned it in the
Yeah, a
previous pods.
pinnacle.
Yeah, that their defenders keep scoring.
Pinnock's is always there. They have that. We talked about Damsgaard's delivery, and it was again Damsgaard delivering that
Yes,
corner.
yes. They have some very crucial players in Damsgaard, Norgard, and the entire play just clicks when these players are available for them. But we didn't after I think what 4 game weeks we didn't see an early Brentford goal. So I think that is where Man United had their first little win before they eventually won the match. But the response from them in the second half was absolutely fantastic. Uh, they were good defensively. If you're being fair, this season defensively they were grinding out results and had in terms of improvement from last season, defense was the only area that seemed to have improved till now.
Yep, yep.
But this game, I think they attacked well. Garnacho, even Rashford played few very beautiful
Rashford is
passes.
looking sharp.
Yes,
Rashford has been looking sharp for the past 2 3 game weeks. He
Yeah,
has been cutting in. His body language has changed. He's not. Uh, he's winning those one-on-ones. So yeah, it's been
yeah.
good.
It's something to keep an eye on, and I think if Man United can turn a corner, then it will be good for the Premier League as well, and also for FPL. There are some very good options there, and well priced options in Rashford, in Garnacho, and Bruno Fernandes now at 8.2. So
And
if they
even
can
Hoyland,
do
I
well,
think the
Man United,
biggest, yeah, the biggest part of United's game was Hoyland coming back and playing instead of Xerxes. I
yeah,
think we talked about Hoyland's composure and Xerxes missing a lot of chances. I mean, even if he doesn't score 3 4 goals, he creates that pressure up top, and I think there are a lot of other players like Rashford and Garnacho to pounce on any rebounds or any other chances.
yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. So good performance from Man United. Hopefully they can keep it up. Talking of Brentford, they were very poor in general. I think they had only two shots in the game and they scored with one. Mbumo was, I think, for the second game this is in a row that he's quite wide and not hasn't looked that
Yeah.
threatening. Um,
But Wissa being back is a positive news for them.
yes, yes. That's what I was going to actually ask you, whether it's a concern or whether now Ipswich next with Wissa back, do you think uh, that we continue with Mbumo because he is quality. We know that.
Yeah, so Wissa being back is absolutely positive for Mbumo. I mean, even if Mbumo plays wide, Wissa coming in creates that pressure and it allows Mbumo to cut in. I mean, that's what we want. We always want Mbumo to cut in. We don't
Yeah.
want him playing the number 9.
Yes. Yes, that's true. And having a attacker that can, keep the defenders busy, if I may say, because Visa is a bigger threat than Sade. And
Yeah.
if
Shade doesn't do that.
yeah,
That's absolutely true.
Sade, I think in himself is lacking in confidence because he has missed a couple of good chances, and I think somewhere he knows that this period was his chance to take uh, to stake
Spotlight.
some
Yeah.
kind of claim to the starting 11, but he's missed some very good chances. He had some good chances in the past game weeks, and he's missed them. And I think Carvalho has scored more than what Sade did.
Yeah.
So, so his confidence is low, and Visa coming back, I think, is a big positive for Brentford in general. So, yeah, so with this Brentford, I think you can keep the trust. They have a good run of fixtures going ahead, anyways. But the defense continuously look like they'll keep conceding a goal. They're not that watertight or that sturdy defense that Thomas Frank had put up last season or maybe season before that. So the defense, does that concern you?
Yeah, the defense is I mean, they will they will score more than they concede. That's how they're going to win, but they're not going to have those 1-0 or 2-0 games.
Yeah,
That's
I think
that's the
clean
thing about
sheets
it.
would be very rare and um, an outlier events for Brentford this season.
Brentford, yeah, absolutely.
I wonder why Ben Mee is not playing. He's on the bench constantly. Has he lost his starting 11 place? Because he was the main player, and I think their captain, if I'm mistaken, I
Yeah,
don't know.
he was the captain, and I think Ayer is an even worse defender than an injured Ben Mee. So I'm not sure why Ben Mee
But
isn't
I
playing.
think that is because the positioning is different. When we would play where Pinnock and Collins are playing at this point, and I
Yeah,
think because both are scoring and both are performing reasonably well, Ben Mee is not coming back, and they have spent what 20 something million on Sepp van der Berg, and I
yeah.
think they see some potential there.
Vanderberg was an expensive buy, I think,
Yeah,
but Vanderberg is still he's playing decent enough
yeah.
in that.
He's a steal in FPL at 4.0. I think if he can cement that place and uh, keep starting, I think 4.0 is a steal away
Yeah,
price.
Brentford has a good run now.
Yeah. So let's move over to Newcastle Brighton again. Newcastle at home. Did you expect them to blank? Sure. I
Oh no, oh no. I mean, Newcastle has been a total outlier this season. They don't have Europe. Uh, Isak and Gordon both are fit now. And absolutely no clue how they didn't
I find
score.
Newcastle and Crystal Palace's timeline this season very similar somehow. I mean, Newcastle at least could grind some results out, luckily, in the first couple of 2, 3 game weeks, but Crystal Palace could manage that as well. But these two teams are something I can't just, you cannot put a finger on where it is going wrong, what is going wrong, and why they're performing like this, because they have the same manager who have given them the good results that we expect of them. The same core players. Maybe Crystal Palace, we can say they lost Anderson and Olise. We'll come to that. We'll come to Crystal Palace after this. But
But Newcastle, in fact, gained a lot of players. I mean, Tonali came back.
yeah,
They have good. Isak isn't injured anymore. So I think more they have Joelinton back. Yeah,
yeah.
I think that was
The
a
only player
major
they're
part of
missing
them.
is the centre back in Sven
Wi-
Botman. That's it.
Yeah, Botman and Wilson.
Wilson, yeah. But they're still their first choice is Isak. I mean, Wilson and Isak rotate, share game time, and no,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
won't put Wilson above Isak. I don't think so.
Yeah. So even I mean, it's not like Newcastle aren't getting chances or aren't creating enough. I think Isak had what 4 chances, 4 shots
He had a
that he
one-on-one
could
also, I
score
think.
from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Gordon had a chance where he could score from.
Gordon had
I think
so
it
many
was
chances in this game. I don't know what has happened to him. He had such a good finish to last season, went to the Euros, and since the Euros, if you see his body language, he looks a bit dejected.
or tired. Maybe the way Newcastle is playing, it's putting up a lot of pressure at the top and not building in the midfield. That's how I
But they have
see. I always see Gordon
Joelinton,
running. Yeah,
Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes. They are doing that work in the midfield. So I I don't know. I can't. I yeah. If he's tired, I think it has more to do with his mental tiredness more than physical is what I can probably relate to, because he was quite affected that he was not played much more in the Euros. He came out in an interview after the Euros and said that it did affect him a lot, but uh, he didn't, he's not, he said, I'm not that kind of a player who goes off to a manager and keeps poking him to play me. So I don't know. Something is wrong with Gordon, and something is wrong with Newcastle, and which I personally can't understand. Because there again, as you said, even against last game against Everton, they made so many chances, and to not finish them for Newcastle's attack and that for the quality that they possess. And same with Brighton, they absolutely dominated the first half. I mean, they were the run of the goal for Brighton came so much against the run of play that I mean it was not expected at all. They just got one chance and Welbeck finished it off in the first half.
yeah, yeah. Welbeck has been on that red hot form.
Yeah,
I mean, luckily the injury, I it felt like he broke his back or slipped disc, but yeah, it. I mean, he was stretchered off, right? So
yeah,
it felt like a bad injury, but I think post the match he tweeted out that he's feeling better and it's just a knock. I think that's good. But
yeah. I think we'll have to hear from the manager more on that because the way he was carried off, it looked like a serious injury.
yeah, Brighton is quite attacking. I feel Brighton plays a lot like Spurs. So they attack. They don't have any defenders. I mean, it was a very lucky clean sheet. By the way, Dunk is defending. I think he has forgotten all basics. It has so Brighton is going with the same concept of scoring more goals and conceding.
Yeah,
They do have a lot of. I mean, they have Rutter. Uh, they have Welbeck.
Rutter has been performing well. I mean, Rutter is really doing well. He's going under the
No,
radar, but he's doing well.
Yeah, in fact, I'm planning on bringing Rutter and later down the season
But you'll
because
have
he
to
might
wait and
be.
watch because once Joe Pedro comes back with Mintis right there and
But
Ferguson also regaining full fitness and everything, I
if
think there's
Ferguson isn't coming near the starting 11, he has been horrendous.
yeah.
So he came on. I think he didn't play well. He got a lot of stick from their own fans as well. So Ferguson isn't, and he's very injury prone. So he's what, like 18, 19, and he's not performing to the level. And I think they might plan to sell him off.
They could have made a lot of money if they sold him this summer because he was the
Yeah,
blue-eyed boy last season. But with so much injuries, I don't think they get anywhere near the same amount of money. They'll probably be better holding him off for a couple of more seasons and probably expect another few good game weeks from him before a transfer window or something like that. Because the boy has had short talent last season, but just
it's
couldn't.
an injury, a lack of form. It's something like what happened with Lamptey. I mean, he was on that hot streak, and then the
Yeah,
injury ruined.
yeah. Lamptey, someone I felt had a lot of similarities with Rico Lewis, small in
Yeah.
stature and runs and finds those pockets.
Yeah, he was absolutely destroying people. I mean, people compared him to Danny Alves at that point. He was destroying anyone who's playing on that wing.
That's the kind of comparison that actually kills your career too early.
Yeah,
Yeah, so let's move on to the Fulham Aston Villa game. Again, Raul Jimenez is in absolutely red hot form for his club, for his country. He's a rhythm player, and I think he's found his rhythm at this point. And last season, also in the beginning of the last season, we saw he had his rhythm and he was scoring. And now I think at this point, during this run of fixtures, he has his rhythm with him, and he's making full
and
use of it.
he even scored a free kick for Mexico, right?
Yeah,
So
and
he,
banger of a free kick. Did you see that? I mean, it was an
yeah,
amazing free kick.
yeah, it
So
was a. Yeah, he found his form. I think he's going to take on the penalty duties from Andreas.
yeah, Andres, it was a poor penalty to miss from Andres, and I think that changed the game. Fulham took the lead. Leno got an assist. We have a goalkeeper assist uh, from Leno. But yeah, Pereira, if he scores that, I think the game would have turned a lot more different than how it panned out. But that missed penalty uh, changed the game a lot. So, but Aston Villa didn't seem to be phased by conceding that early goal. They kept at it. They kept attacking. They played their game. I felt that goal didn't really affect them that much. That's what my impression was of the game. And Rogers played well. The one he scored was a deflected goal, but there was another chance that he got, which was an absolute sitter, but he missed. So yeah, and Ollie Watkins, you
His
don't,
customary goal.
yeah, you don't have Ollie Watkins in your FPL team. Do you think what do you make of him? Do you think he is someone you're missing out on, or do you think he can be covered at this point?
No, no. I mean, what? So I went with the Havertz route instead of Watkins. I mean, I had decided it from game week one that I would have an Arsenal attacker, but Havertz was. I think the difference was 1.5 million,
Yeah,
and that was the main reason of going Havertz. But at this point, that 1.5 million for Watkins is worth it.
I think it was 1 million,
So
9 million and 8 million. So 1 million was the difference, I think, but between the two of them. Havertz started at
okay,
eight.
if
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So if Watkins was 9, I think it's at this point it's worth it. That 1 million is good. I would hold Watkins throughout.
I
I
think
mean,
it is it is more
even if you
worth
put,
it right now when Odegaard is not there.
yeah, exactly. And none of the strikers are. I mean, none of the expensive strikers are doing a lot. So if you if you were to compare Watkins with someone like a, let's say,
Isak.
Cunha or a Strad Larson, yeah. So you could get value in the
Yeah.
lower price points, but again, they are not that consistent as Watkins is. I mean,
Yes.
Watkins could nick in with a goal or an assist each and every. I mean, he would tick along throughout the entire season. So
Yeah. That is one of the positives of Watkins is that even if he's not scoring goals, he's giving you an assist here and there and constantly taking over. Just much like Saka is. Maybe not those
mm,
big hauls all the time like Palmer, 4 goals, 4 assists, but an assist every game, a goal and assist somewhere here and there, double-digit haul in between. So that consistency is there throughout the season with uh,
you, yeah,
Watkins.
you can take one example like, let's say, if you had a 9 million striker and he blanks one week and then scores uh, 16 points, you'd say that, I mean, he's an essential, he's a must-have. But what? But if the same player scores 8 points in two consecutive game weeks, you think that he's just ticking along. But you have to look at it objectively from a larger time frame.
Yeah, completely agree with you. Yeah. And this game week we saw a lot of red cards. Again, in this game we had an Anderson red card. I don't know if
And a Philogene as well, two red cards
yeah, 5 red cards I
in
think
the
this
second.
game week. If I'm not
Yeah.
wrong, 5 or 6 game red cards. A lot of red cards this game week. As we said at the start of the pod, felt like a underwhelming game weeks for some reason. Not a usual game week. I don't remember when we see 5, 6 red cards in a game week. We've talked already about Luka Dean, I think, when we were discussing
Yeah.
your team. So we'll skip that. And I don't think there was much more on this game. Emil Smith Rowe, what did you make of him? I thought he was okay, but again, Emil Smith Rowe doesn't look like to me who's, has a very, very high ceiling. Somehow I'm not still getting that feeling from him.
Yes, Smithrow isn't so that Fulham team is functioning quite well.
Yeah,
So he's there. He's creating chances. He's making those plays in the midfield, but he's not lighting fires because a lot of the uh, let's say your chances or goal scoring opportunities are being taken by Raul or Traore,
yeah,
and a lot of creative aspect is now taken by Yobi. So
yeah.
that way, Smith Rowe isn't getting the spotlight at the moment.
And since the team is functioning so well, the chances are being spread across. I mean, everybody is creating something. There's no one talisman uh, in this team, except for maybe you can say Raul, who's at the focal point of all the attacks. But there's no midfield talisman as such for this team. Bodes well for the team in general, but in terms of FPL, I think again Smith Rowe would be someone who would tick along, but maybe not give you that huge hauls. And Robinson as well. I think Robinson has gone a little quiet uh, over the last few weeks, but solid pick. He's been attacking. Uh, so I think if you have Robinson also, you can keep hold of him for a long time.
Yep.
So Ipswich versus Everton again, as I said at the start of the pod, I thought Ipswich would score at least 1 goal at home, but Everton uh, played well. Ipswich also didn't play well, so it was a combination of both. But Everton did dominate the game. They didn't have Branthwaite, but it was a dominating performance from them. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is someone who is in a lot of FPL managers teams. I think he
He's a horrible finisher.
yes, and I said this. If you remember, we were discussing this during the Game Week 6 wildcard preview pod that we did,
Yeah.
and I said I cannot bear DCL the way he plays and the way he finishes. He just feels like another Nicholas Jackson of the last season because this season Jackson has improved a lot. So, but DCL has never been a finisher, and somewhere I heard somebody say that DCL and Timo Werner are two players who can never in one versus one situations you'd probably always back the goalkeeper to save it.
Yeah.
Both of them just can't score 1v1 situations. So
Yeah, DCL's the thing was with DCL's finishing is that he never scores those 1v1s. It's either headers or those tap-ins. It's
yeah,
always headers or tap-ins. You could never see an Isak like goal that he's running towards the keeper and then he slots in into the bottom corner.
yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I don't like that kind of a player or that kind of a pick in FPL. Then that's not for me. But yeah, I got lucky with the NDI goal. And McNeil again got an assist. He's been on a hot form, and their uh, chief playmaker, uh, the creative force in that team. So McNeil is still a solid pick in FPL in very good form for Everton as well. And
Yeah, that number 10 role suits him.
yes, I think last season Doucouré was playing there, and McNeil was on the left. But this season, him playing in number 10 has really changed the dynamics of the team for the better. And back-to-back clean sheets for Everton as well. So I think as Jared Branthwaite also comes back and integrates, I think this is something we'll see more of and from Everton and from Sean Dyche. So that's a defense to keep an eye on.
Yeah, they're not going down that easy.
Everton, Everton, I don't think will anyways go down, and especially with the way West Ham, Crystal Palace, and all everybody is performing. I think there's quite a bit of competition in the bottom three at this point.
Yeah.
So just as I said, Crystal Palace. Let's uh, talk about Crystal Palace Forest. Or if you're watching us on the video, I wrote this as nil-nil. It's actually 1-0 finish. What did you make of the game? Let's have your thoughts on what you thought about Palace in particular.
Oh, Palace has been conceding chances for fun. I mean, they can't defend set pieces. So, and Forest exploited that fact to the fullest. I think Chris Wood could have had like two, three goals easily from set pieces. He could
Yeah,
have,
he had a
and
lot of
and
chances. Chris
he
Wood.
had a lot of chances.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Palace doesn't have any player who can jump, or even the keeper is not even. I mean, he's not coming out for crosses. That's Crystal Palace's, I think, bane, and everyone will exploit that. So, who does Palace play next? I think is it
they play Spurs next.
Spurs? Yeah.
At home to Spurs. But yeah, and uh, Crystal Palace, the way they're playing, I think they could have actually sold Guehi, made some money. They already sold
Yeah.
Olise and Johnston. Now, if they keep playing this way, they'll probably be at a risk of relegation, and they'll probably get no money from Mark Guehi. And you were right. I mean, again, touching upon on Chris Wood, the fact that his scoring is one thing, but you always find Chris Wood at the end of set pieces, and it's not because of his only because of his stature. Obviously, stature is one point, but it's his anticipation of being at the right place at the right time. That is something that sets Chris Wood apart from a lot of Premier League strikers, is what I feel. And
Exactly.
yeah, really good
Yeah,
quality.
there was a chance which, I mean, it wasn't a chance for Wood. It was more of a header that deflected off the post, and Chris Wood was there.
Yeah.
He, a slight deviation in the part, and it would have been tap in. I mean, that's a great spot. That, yeah, his anticipation of the ball is what makes him great.
He looks like a proper number nine to me. I mean,
Eh,
the playmakers and the crossers would love to have him on their team. I mean, he's always there at the end of your crosses and end of your balls. So good that and Chris, he's been since uh, Nuno has taken charge. He has found a new confidence and he's doing really well at
And
this
Nuno is
point.
backing him.
Yeah,
I mean, we spoke about Nuno always backing one of his number nines Previously it was Raul, now it's Wood, and that, I mean, that's a lot of confidence booster for any striker.
Yeah. No, he's bringing has this habit of bringing out the best of his nines. And also shout out to Matt Sells this game week. We talked about his super performance against Chelsea as well uh, when Forest and Chelsea played, and again this week. And I think this deserves a special mention because at the start of the season, if you remember, we a general feeling in the community was the Nottingham Forest defense's weakest point was their goalkeeper, and they had a lot of goalkeepers. They had Matt Turner, who went away, who they have transferred out now, but they also bought in Miguel, that 6 foot 8 inch or something, tall goalkeeper. And last season they really struggled with the set pieces in general. But this season,
Yeah.
Matzels has really upped his game, and uh, after because since Courtois is not there with the Belgian team, he's Belgium's number one as well, and he's really shown his quality this season. I think in the first game, 8 game weeks now.
Yeah, sales has, I mean, in particular, sales was very poor last season. I
Yeah,
mean, he improved quite a lot.
yeah. That's what Chelsea fans would be hoping for Sanchez to do. But Cesc doesn't have to play with his feet. I just hate players goalkeepers who have to play with their feet. But Crystal Palace, I
Uh,
have nothing to talk about. Yeah, you were saying something, so sure.
no, I think, yeah, Crystal Palace. I think I was going to say the same thing. I think it's a moot point discussing Crystal Palace at
Yeah.
this stage.
Eze is missing chances and KT are missing. They have that odd shot in the game that goes close, but yeah, there's nothing really. We need to see more, and probably then we'll have something to talk about. Southampton Leicester again. We usually skip or skim through quickly from Southampton Leicester, but I'll give a shout out to this game. It was a great game. If I don't know how many people took the effort to see this the entire match, but I did, and this was a game of completely a game of two halves. Southampton absolutely dominated the first half, and it felt like they were out there with the purpose to get those 3 points before they go and visit City. Uh, but just before the first half, I think Leicester hit the post, and come the second half, I think Fatau came and absolutely changed the game. He didn't get any returns as such in terms of FPL or in terms of assist or goal, but the play that he did, uh, the impact that he had on the game was absolutely crazy. And Leicester got three. I think these are extremely valuable points in terms of the survival race.
Back to back back to back wins, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we expected. Uh, did you predict Leicester to stay up?
Yeah,
Yeah, you did, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good shot there. Good shot. So your predictions are coming true. But yeah, again, 6 huge points, and I think one of the players that's going under the radar in terms of FPL also is Bonate. I mean, again, back to back, his performance is absolutely outstanding in that midfield. He's making those runs, making play. He's so lively in the box, taking shots, got a goal. Excellent
Yeah,
from Bonate.
they I think I wrote of Leicester once KDH went off to Chelsea. I think KDH was I mean, huge part of how Leicester played in the championship.
Yeah.
And now Buonanotte is filling up that role. I mean, he's creating those chances and driving that. He's, yeah, creating that attack. That's the important part. I mean, they do have a lot of good uh, converters like Vardy or Mavi Didi, even Fatau, but yeah, they don't have that player in the midfield.
Yeah.
It's looking good for Leicester.
Yeah.
The defense is still horrible. I mean, they conceded two against Southampton. I wouldn't expect them to win or even draw against good teams. But yeah, they could be that difficult team to play
Yes.
against those middling oppositions.
Yes, and these 6 points are huge for them. These are the kind of games that you would want to win to stay in the Premier League. So yeah, good game. I think a lot of people kept an eye out for Tyler Dibling from Southampton. I think he had an okay game, was quite reasonably quiet. And Jordan Ayew, I think, is a very good signing for Leicester. And as the season progresses, I think we can expect some good things from Jordan Ayew as well.
Yeah, Ayu keeps the ball. The thing is, Ayu keeps the ball and drags those defenders to him. That's the thing
Yeah,
that that he used to do in Crystal Palace as well.
and he has a good shot in him as well. He can produce that odd shot from outside the box and score. Yeah. So that's about it from this game and from the game week 8 fixtures and the review. Game week 9 would be upon us very soon. The FPL deadline this time is for the for Indian Standard Time. It's late Friday night uh, because we have 12:30 Saturday kickoff as per the Indian time. But the fixtures, game week 9 fixtures will review separately in a preview pod that will come out later in the week. But yeah, don't forget to keep an eye out on the midweek games and the Champions League and the squads that are put out by Arsenal and City and any injuries and injury news that might come along. So we'll have a preview pod later in the week and uh, till then, anything sure of that you would like to highlight here?
No, I think it has been a great pod. It's good to be back.
Yeah, and I think next week is a big one for you and your team as well. Arsenal hosting Liverpool without Saliba, Odegaard, maybe Saka, may not be Saka. It's nervy time being an Arsenal fan.
It's not a good week.
Yeah, so we'll preview that game as well in the next pod that we come around with. So that's it from us on this pod. Again, as usual, if you're watching this on YouTube. Do give us a like and subscribe and as usual we always look out for your feedback and comments in the comment section, and if you're listening to us on the audio platforms, do follow us and you can connect with us on our socials, on X, Instagram and Threads at FooTea Fantasy, the same ID everywhere, and you can get in touch with us, give us feedback, just interact with us generally, and we'd love that. So that's from us this time around, and we'll probably see you in a couple of days' time again. So thank you and have a good day, good night. Bye bye.
Thanks for joining.